Project Drawdown has put out a nice report called Climate Poverty Connections, Opportunities for Synergistic Solutions at the Intersection of Planetary and Human Well-Being. I have a full course on the Drawdown project, which provided an extensive list of solutions with investments needed, net benefits, amount of carbon drawdown possible, and so on and so forth. This is a new report that I'm just including in this course. Maybe I'll reflect it over there as well. The good news, of course, is that in all regions poverty has dropped, except maybe a little bit in this sub-Saharan Africa. Especially if you look at the number of people living in extreme poverty, defined as less than $1.90 per day, $1.90 per day, so less than $2 per day, has decreased across all regions except in the sub-Saharan Africa since the 1990s. This is not good because it also shows up as percentage of population living in poverty being very high, with high vulnerability and low readiness in sub-Saharan Africa. South Asia is doing a little bit better in terms of the percentage of population under high vulnerability and low readiness, but one has to see the trajectory when you look at indicators and so on. So in this report, we will look at some indicators of poverty and some solutions with co-benefits, and I will just kind of give you a brief overview because that's a 107-page long report that I will not go into details here, but you can easily follow it up. It's very well written and very useful with lots of good information. So here, current finance and future investments needed to limit global temperatures to 1.5 degrees centigrade above pre-industrial levels with 67% probability. Very unlikely you're going to meet this target unless some major game changer comes along and starts sucking out CO2 like Coca-Cola. Climate finance necessary to maintain 1.5 degrees pathway in billions of US dollars. 2011 to 2020 actual climate finance was here less than $1 trillion, and already we need to be jumping up 6 times more finance than present required over this period of 2021 to 2030, 9 times more, 10 times more, and so on. Obviously there are many assumptions involved in this that I will not get into, but you can follow up other reports which look at this. Drawdown Framework for Climate Solutions offers 28 solutions with some descriptions in the appendix that you can look up. So this is a drawdown framework for climate solutions, illustrating the potential greenhouse gas emissions impact of solution subgroups within each climate solutions sector globally. So we have electricity, food, agriculture and land use, industry, transport, buildings, and here we have the framework offering support sinks and improving society. So shift production, enhance efficiency, address waste and diets, shift agricultural practices, protect ecosystems, improve materials, use waste, so circular economy kind of argument done made in the industrial sector alone, address refrigerants which are high greenhouse warming potential gases that need to be phased out very soon, like HFCs. Transportation, of course, electrification is important. Enhancing efficiency has to continue for a while because we are not very close to phasing out all the internal combustion engines based on fossil fuels yet. Shift to alternatives. Buildings, enhance efficiency, shift energy sources, so address refrigerants is required here as well. Support sinks in terms of land, we have use of degraded lands, shift agricultural practices with agroforestry, which we will look at, for example, as agroforestry. Protect and restore ecosystems. So prevention, protection, and restoration is always the key mantra over there. And address waste and diets in this section as well. As we know, emissions from wastes are significant, up to 6% of the total. So those are additional drawdowns, and I have details in the drawdown course if you want to look up. Coastal and ocean sinks, so-called blue carbon, protect and restore the ecosystems here as well. Engineered sinks, so remove and store carbon, carbon capture and sequestration, for example, including utilization, which is more of a displacement rather than sequestration or storage. Subgroups, maximum, minimum, so those are the symbols for the shapes and sizes here. Max and min, so max and min, I should have said that before. Okay, and improving society includes health and education, which we will look at. So project drawdown solutions with human well-being co-benefits. Out of these 80 plus solutions in the project drawdown framework, 28 have clear well-being co-benefits for rural populations with low and middle income countries. Project drawdown here, you can get a full depth information. I won't go into the details, but we have already talked about whether climate action, mitigation, adaptation can be synergistic with human well-being, and of course you can always see the potential for being synergistic. Making sure is always critical, especially in terms of also tracking their impact on the sustainable development goals, as we have been doing in other podcasts before. So without going into details, here are the symbols again in terms of CO2 equivalent in gigatons from 2020 to 2050. So you can see the various sizes of the circles here, and these are the symbols for solutions with human well-being co-benefits included in this report, and there are other project drawdown solutions here. So improving agriculture and agroforestry with some details there. Adopting clean cooking, we will look at fostering equality, protecting and restoring ecosystems, and providing clean electricity, which are the things we will look at. To put it in the context of economics, there is always this idea of how economic model or human society's dependence on continued economic growth. How can it be mapped onto these kind of poverty reduction, climate action, sustainable development kind of phase diagram, right? That's not always easy. So the donut economics offers one of the ideas. These are the 12 socioeconomic dimensions of the classic donut economics framework in the inner circle. Served as a model for developing the drawdown lift, which is the new idea of providing solutions for climate action with co-benefits for reducing poverty and improving well-being. So they have a human well-being index defined for this context. So we have the social foundation with donut economics covering water, food, health, education, income and work, peace and justice, political voice, social equity, gender equality, housing networks, energy, and so on. Which is placed within the safe and just space for humanity and regenerative and distributive economy somehow to be implemented, and the ecological ceiling to be tracked along the way. This is kind of the Herman Daly idea, where instead of thinking of society, environment and sustainability as three separate spheres with a Venn diagram intersecting over somewhere, you think of us being placed within the ecological ceiling, and there you track things like planetary boundary ideas as well, ozone layer depletion, climate change, ocean acidification, chemical pollution, nitrogen and phosphorus loading, freshwater withdrawals, land conversions, biodiversity losses, and air pollution. Okay. the Drawdown Lift Human Wellbeing Index dimensions and related sustainable development goals. There is a mapping done to make sure. So again, food and the corresponding SDG, education, gender equality, water and sanitation, income and work, social equity, energy, networks, peace and justice, health, housing, and political voice. Each one has things within them. For example, water and sanitation includes population with access to clean water, population with access to basic sanitation, and under peace and justice, for example, you have corruption perception, homicide rates, and political stability. Here the parentheses include ideas of donut economics, social progress index, multidimensional poverty index, and indicators are highlighted in orange are unique to the human welfare well-being index defined under Drawdown Lift. Okay, so we'll come back and look at specific things, but first just look at the map of Drawdown Lift human well-being index. Obviously Africa and sub-Saharan Africa do the worst in terms of human well-being index, and rich countries do well, but growing economies like China and India are somewhere in the middle. Of course, one has to look at the trajectory everybody is on. For example, let's say India, is it on a way to getting better and better, or is it just an aberration based on the time over which this is computed, and whether Africa is getting worse or there is scope for getting better in terms of human well-being index and so on. Okay, so let's leave it here and come back and look in the next podcast about what are the various solutions in the spheres that we mentioned in terms of food, energy, and so on. And then we'll add some optimistic messages in terms of projects that are already implemented, where co-benefits are being realized, gender equality, and reducing drudgery for women in terms of biofuels and so on are being addressed already. Okay.